Have you ever faced a moment when you thought your time was running out and everything was slipping away? You wouldn't believe it, but it's true. Clint Eastwood spent years hiding his greatest pain behind a mask. But the real story is yet to come. You won't want to miss this. Dear listeners, before we move forward, please subscribe my channel to hit 1,000 figure. We all have that moment, don't we? When life suddenly slows down and we're forced to confront our own mortality. Maybe it's a health scare, a loss, or just the simple realization that time is slipping away. It's in those moments that we start questioning everything. Our purpose, the legacy we'll leave behind, and the mark we'll make on the world. For Clint Eastwood, this moment came not in a high-octane action scene, but in a film that's often overlooked, Honky Tonk Man, 1982. Here, Eastwood plays Red Stovall, a down-and-out country singer with a dream. He wants to leave behind something meaningful before his time runs out. But there's a catch. Red knows his time is limited. He's facing his own mortality, both physically and emotionally. In this lesser-known film, there's a scene that hits home on a deep level. Red, with his rough exterior, understands the inevitability of death and the urgency to create something that will outlast him. The last gunfight isn't about a literal fight. It's the internal battle we all face when we realize life isn't forever. Red's struggle is universal, and Clint Eastwood brings it to life in a way that makes you reflect on your own journey. What's powerful about this scene isn't just Red's desire to create a legacy. It's the realization that we're all just trying to leave something meaningful behind, whether it's a song, a story, or a moment that touches someone else's life. Red's story becomes Clint's story. A man who, like all of us, is trying to make sense of the time he has left and the impact he can make. This battle with mortality is something we all face, but it's not often we get to see it portrayed with such raw honesty. Red's struggle in Honky Tonk Man is the kind of vulnerability that Clint Eastwood rarely shows in his characters. But here, it's all laid bare. And for us, the audience, it's a reminder that even the toughest among us have to reckon with their own fragility. Clint Eastwood's character, Red Stovall, isn't just facing the end of his life. He's trying to create something lasting, a legacy. And this idea of legacy, of being remembered for something meaningful, is something that resonates with us all. We all want to leave a mark, right? Whether it's through our work, our families, or simply the way we treat others, we all hope that our time here isn't for nothing. But what happens when you realize that you might not have much time left to make that impact? What if you're in your final years, battling illness, and the dreams you've spent your life chasing suddenly seem unreachable? That's exactly what Red Stovall faces in Honky Tonk Man. His health is deteriorating, and he knows he might not live long enough to see his dreams come true. But instead of surrendering to despair, he doubles down on the one thing he can control, his music. This is where Clint Eastwood's portrayal of Red becomes truly inspiring. It's not about winning. It's not about reaching the destination. It's about the journey, the effort, and the determination to do something with the time you have left. Red knows he won't be around forever, but he refuses to let that stop him from trying to leave something meaningful behind. In a poignant moment, he plays his guitar, pouring his soul into every note, as if every strum is his way of saying, "I was here. I mattered." And though his health fails him, the song remains, a part of him that will live on, even when he's gone. Isn't that something we all want? to be remembered for who we truly are, for the things we care about, for the love and passion we poured into our lives. Red's journey isn't just about a man fighting for his last chance at success. It's about all of us, fighting for meaning in our lives, no matter how long we have. We don't have to be famous to create a legacy. Clint Eastwood, through Red, teaches us that sometimes the most profound legacy is the quiet impact we have on others, the way we share our heart with the world, even in the face of inevitable loss. When you think of Clint Eastwood, what comes to mind? Maybe it's the gritty, stoic cowboy in A Fistful of Dollars, or the rugged police officer in Dirty Harry. We often associate Clint with characters who never show their emotions, who face life's hardships head-on, without ever flinching. The tough guy persona has been his trademark. But what if I told you that this persona was a mask that Clint himself wore to shield his vulnerability? In Honky Tonk Man, Clint Eastwood's character, Red Stovall, isn't just a broken man trying to fight time. He's a man who has lived with his pain in silence. This is something Clint Eastwood has always understood intimately. How easy it is to build a wall around yourself when the world feels too harsh or unforgiving. How easy it is to pretend that everything is fine when inside you're crumbling. But what makes Clint's portrayal of Red so powerful is how it challenges this tough guy image. Red is a man who has faced rejection, abandonment, and countless battles, both internal and external, and yet he's still standing. He may be a musician, not a gunslinger, but his emotional scars are just as deep. Like many of Clint's iconic roles, Red's greatest fight is not against an enemy, but against the pain he carries within. And here's the thing. Red doesn't just hide his pain for the sake of looking tough. It's because he believes that showing vulnerability is a weakness, something we've all been taught, consciously or unconsciously. Red feels that by revealing his true emotions, he would be betraying himself, his identity, and the image he spent his whole life building. It's this internal conflict that gives Honky Tonk Man its emotional depth. In real life, Clint Eastwood has often struggled with a similar tension. The actor, director, and producer who built a career around being the strong, silent type has faced many of the same internal battles that his characters wrestle with on screen. Just like Red, Clint has learned over time that true strength doesn't come from silence. It comes from the courage to show your vulnerabilities, to open up and face the things that scare you. In a world where we are all expected to be tough, Clint's story reminds us that it's okay to not have it all together. In fact, it's through embracing our weaknesses, our fears, and our struggles that we truly find strength. Clint Eastwood's journey, both on screen and in life, isn't just about overcoming obstacles or fighting off enemies. It's about growth, transformation, and learning to embrace the very thing that many people, especially those in the public eye, fear the most: vulnerability. In Honky Tonk Man, Red Stovall reaches a turning point where he begins to accept his weaknesses. He starts to realize that the more he clings to his tough guy persona, the more he distances himself from the truth of who he is and what he's really feeling. This moment of self-realization is crucial, not just for Red, but for Clint Eastwood as well. For much of his career, Clint Eastwood portrayed characters who would never show their feelings. The iconic Clint was known for keeping a tight lid on emotions, only revealing what was absolutely necessary. But in real life, as he got older, Clint began to shift his perspective. Like Red, Clint had to confront his own vulnerability and the realization that it's okay to not have everything figured out. It's in these quieter moments, both in Honky Tonk Man and in Clint's own life, that we see the real beauty of his journey. He began to understand that being vulnerable didn't make him weak. It made him human. It allowed him to connect with others on a deeper level, whether it was through his characters or his directorial choices. His later films, like $1 Million Baby, 2004, show this evolution perfectly, as his characters grapple with themes of loss, redemption, and ultimately, vulnerability. In those moments, Clint's own personal transformation is reflected in the work he created. In Honky Tonk Man, Red's journey is not about winning, it's about finding peace in the struggle. He learns that the true power lies in facing your fears and your own mortality head-on, not running from them. As Red moves closer to the end of his life, he accepts that his time is limited. But that doesn't mean his life is meaningless. Through his music, through the connection he's made with others, he leaves a piece of himself behind. Clint's journey, both on screen and off, teaches us that we don't have to be unbreakable to be strong. Sometimes, the most powerful thing we can do is admit our fears, our struggles, and our pain. That's when the real healing begins. Clint Eastwood's journey, both on screen and in life, comes full circle in the realization that true strength comes not from the persona we create, but from the ability to face our own weaknesses and vulnerabilities. It's the quiet resilience that truly defines him. And when we look at his body of work, especially in later years, we see a powerful message emerge. It's not just about surviving life's challenges, but finding a way to live fully in spite of them. Take Honky Tonk Man, for example. Red's story is one of struggle, but it's also one of hope. He's a man who knows his time is running out, yet he continues to chase his dream, to make music, to leave something behind that will matter. It's a metaphor for all of us, isn't it? We all face challenges, whether it's aging, illness, failure, or the feeling of being lost. But Red's refusal to give up, his desire to find meaning, even in his final moments, resonates deeply with anyone who has ever felt like they're running out of time. And this is the real legacy Clint Eastwood leaves behind. Not just the iconic roles he played, but the lessons his life and work impart. Through the raw emotions and vulnerabilities expressed in films like $1 Million Baby, Unforgiven, and Yes, Honky Tonk Man, Clint teaches us that it's not about being the toughest person in the room. It's about being the most real. It's about acknowledging our pain, facing it head-on, and still finding the strength to move forward. Here's something to consider. Studies show that storytelling, especially the kind of raw, honest storytelling Clint Eastwood delivers, has a powerful impact on mental health. Research suggests that when we see characters in movies or hear stories of people overcoming adversity, it helps us feel less alone in our own struggles. It gives us hope and a sense of connection to others. Clint's films, filled with flawed, complex characters, are reminders that we're all in this together. We all have our battles, but that doesn't mean we can't rise above them. Clint Eastwood's legacy isn't just about his iconic films, it's about the human lessons we can all take from them. He's shown us that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. He's taught us that our greatest legacy may not be what we achieve, but how we face our deepest challenges and share our truth with the world. And that's something we can all aspire to. So, the next time you feel lost, or like you're fighting a battle that no one else understands, remember Clint Eastwood's journey. He didn't just fight the good fight on screen. He fought for meaning and connection in his own life. And in doing so, he left behind a story that will continue to inspire generations to come.